Minecraft in the United States in one weekend made more money than Snow White has made globally after 3 weekends. That's how bad it is right now.
Nobody
Who
wants that.
a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? It's the outrage.
So the two stars hate each other.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
Like Rachel Ziegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
The Snow White version is woke and feminist and progressive.
Of course, like with everything on the left these days, they just take it too far.
It just doesn't make any sense.
It makes a little bit more sense.
You can gaslight people so easily.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
Ever wondered what happens when a rising star faces a seasoned commentator known for his unfiltered opinions? The internet is buzzing about a recent live television moment that has everyone talking, and the headline says it all: Bill Maher and Rachel Zegler. You might know Zegler from her recent role in the Snow White remake, a film that has certainly stirred up its fair share of debate. Now, imagine the tension in the air as these two figures, with their distinct perspectives, sat down for what turned out to be a truly unforgettable exchange. Did the conversation take a turn so sharp it left the actress visibly emotional? What were the points of contention that led to such a dramatic reaction on live television? If you're curious to uncover the details of this unexpected and intense encounter between Bill Maher and Rachel Zegler, you've come to the right place. Stay tuned, because we're about to break down exactly what happened and the context behind this headline-grabbing moment. The selection of Rachel Zegler to portray Snow White was initially seen by many as a step towards greater representation in mainstream cinema,
saying that audiences will always line up to see her no matter what she does.
Every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You know what's interesting about all of this is that the only person waiting in line to see Snow White was Rachel Ziegler.
Zegler, who garnered critical acclaim for her powerful performance as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, brought a fresh and diverse perspective to the iconic princess. Her vocal talents were also widely recognized, making her seem like a promising choice to embody a character so closely associated with song. However, even before the film's release, comments Zegler made in various interviews about the original 1937 animated classic began to circulate online, igniting a significant backlash from a segment of devoted Disney fans. In these interviews, Zegler described the original film, a cornerstone of animation history and Disney's first full-length animated feature, as weird and outdated. It's crucial to understand the cultural significance of the 1930s. It was a groundbreaking achievement, utilizing animation techniques and establishing many of the tropes and characteristics that would define Disney's fairy tale adaptations for generations to come.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
For countless individuals, this film holds a cherished place in their childhood memories and represents a certain timeless charm and innocence. Zegler's remarks, perceived by some as dismissive of this legacy and suggesting the original was somehow flawed or no longer relevant, didn't sit well with those who held this classic in high regard. This initial friction surrounding the lead actress's perspective inadvertently set the stage for some of the broader controversies that would later engulf the film. Beyond the casting and the surrounding commentary, the remake itself undertook substantial revisions to the fundamental elements of the original narrative. One of the most prominent alterations was the noticeably reduced role of the character traditionally known as Prince Charming. In the classic fairy tale, the prince serves as a crucial figure, representing romantic love and ultimately breaking the evil queen's spell to awaken Snow White with a kiss, offering the promise of a traditional happily ever after. However, in this reimagined version, the prince's screen time and overall significance to the plot were reportedly minimized, with some accounts suggesting he appears only briefly. This narrative shift directly aligns with statements made by Rachel Zegler herself, who indicated in interviews that the film would primarily focus on Snow White's personal journey towards becoming a leader and discovering her own agency, rather than centering on a traditional romantic love story. Fairy tales, across various cultures and throughout history, often explore universal themes of love, heroism, overcoming adversity, and the triumph of good over evil, with romantic love frequently serving as a key element of resolution and fulfillment. By deliberately down this romantic aspect, the remake diverged from a core component that many viewers inherently associate with the story of Snow White. This reimagining sparked considerable debate among audiences and critics alike, raising fundamental questions about whether such significant departures from the source material could still capture the essence and enduring appeal of the original, or if they fundamentally altered its very identity and the messages it conveyed. Another significant point of contention that garnered widespread attention involved the portrayal, or rather the lack thereof in their traditional form, of the iconic Seven Dwarfs. In 2022, actor Peter Dinklage, a prominent figure known for his advocacy for the rights and representation of people with dwarfism in media, publicly voiced his strong criticism of Disney's initial plans for the remake.
They're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Dinklage specifically called out the portrayal of the dwarfs in the original 1937 film as stereotypical and potentially harmful, arguing that it perpetuated outdated negative perceptions of individuals with dwarfism. This public statement ignited a significant and necessary conversation within the entertainment industry and among the wider public regarding the importance of inclusive and respectful representation in storytelling. Disney responded to this criticism by announcing a significant change in their approach, stating that the remake would not feature the seven dwarfs in their traditionally depicted form. Instead, the film introduced seven magical creatures who were described as being of varying heights, genders, and ethnicities. While Disney's intention behind this decision was undoubtedly to be more inclusive and avoid perpetuating potentially harmful stereotypes, this alteration also drew considerable criticism and disappointment from substantial segment of fans. For many, the Seven Dwarfs are not merely background characters but are deeply integral to the narrative of Snow White, providing her with shelter, companionship, and crucial support throughout her ordeal. Replacing these distinct characters with more generic magical creatures felt to many like a significant and unnecessary deviation from the beloved source material, leading to questions about which fundamental elements of a classic story can be altered or removed before it loses its connection to the original and the reasons it resonated with audiences for so long. The realm of music is an absolutely indispensable element of Disney's animated classics, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs holds a particularly special place in this regard, having gifted the world timeless and beloved tunes such as Someday My Prince Will Come, Hey Ho, and Whistle While You Work. These songs are not just catchy melodies, they are deeply woven into the fabric of the film, enhancing the storytelling, revealing character emotions, and becoming iconic cultural touchstones. The remake, in a significant departure from this tradition, opted for an entirely new soundtrack, completely omit these cherished and recognizable songs. While the introduction of new musical compositions can certainly offer a fresh and contemporary perspective to a familiar story, the critical and audience reception to the new songs featured in the Snow White remake was overwhelmingly negative. Critics and general audiences alike described the new tracks as largely generic, uninspired, and ultimately forgettable, lacking the inherent charm, emotional depth, and infectious catchiness that made the original songs so enduring. The deliberate decision to remove these iconic musical numbers, which have been cherished by generations and are deeply intertwined with memories and affection for the original story, further contributed to a pervasive sense among many viewers that the remake had somehow lost a crucial part of the original's magic and soul. For a film so closely associated with its memorable soundtrack, this change was particularly jarring for many longtime fans. As the theatrical release date for the Snow White remake drew nearer, various reports began to surface within the entertainment industry regarding behind-the-scenes activity, specifically mentioning reshoots and adjustments being made to the film. While reshoots are an often necessary and relatively common part of the filmmaking process, allowing for refinements and improvements, instances of extensive or significant reshoots can sometimes be perceived as an indication of underlying challenges or issues during the initial production phase. When these reports were coupled with the pre-existing controversy surrounding the casting choices, the significant alterations to the original story, and the lukewarm reception to the newly released musical selections, it likely served to amplify the growing sense of unease and concern among the core fanbase. In the digital age, online fan communities have become increasingly vocal and influential, providing platforms for individuals to share their opinions, organize discussions, and even mobilize collective action. In the case of the Snow White remake, significant backlash began to coalesce online, with many expressing their profound disappointment with the direction the film appeared to be taking. This online sentiment even translated into organized calls for a boycott of the film, demonstrating the deep and personal connection many people feel to these classic stories and their strong desire for adaptations to be faithful to and respectful of the original source material. The prevailing sentiment among these dissenting voices seemed to be that the changes being implemented were not in service of creatively enhancing the story for a modern audience, but rather fundamentally altering it in ways that felt both unnecessary and disrespectful to the legacy of the original Snow White. Ultimately, in the world of commercial cinema, one of the most tangible and closely watched metrics for a film's success is its performance at the box office. Specific case of the Snow White remake, the financial outcome of its opening weekend was notably lower than the initial projections and significantly below the expectations that are typically associated with a major Disney tentpole release, especially considering the film's reportedly substantial production and marketing budget. This underwhelming performance at the box office has subsequently led to widespread speculation and analysis within the entertainment industry and among financial analysts regarding the multitude of potential reasons behind the film's apparent failure to connect with a broad audience. While it is almost certain that a complex interplay of various factors contributed to this the controversies that we've previously discussed, including the pre-release comments made by the lead actress, the significant and often criticized alterations to the core story elements and beloved characters, and the largely negative reception to the film's new musical score, likely played a substantial role in shaping public perception and ultimately deterring a significant number of potential viewers from purchasing tickets. This outcome could potentially serve as a significant cautionary tale for major Hollywood studios, prompting a period of careful reevaluation regarding their strategies for adapting and reimagining beloved classic stories for contemporary audiences. It may lead to a renewed emphasis on striking a more delicate balance between introducing modern sensibilities and respecting the enduring appeal of the original narratives and characters that have resonated with audiences across generations. The journey of this particular reimagining of Snow White has been a rather remarkable one, characterized by a series of bold creative choices and significant deviations from the cherished source material. While the underlying intentions behind these changes may have been to offer a fresh, updated, and more contemporary perspective on a timeless tale, on remakes, reboots, and adaptations of established intellectual property. How do creators and studios effectively navigate the delicate balance between the understandable desire for innovation and modernization and the crucial need to respect and honor the core elements that made the original stories so beloved and enduring for generations of viewers? What are your thoughts on this complex issue? We'd love to hear your perspectives and opinions in the comments section below. Subscribe.